Hello guys and gals, it's your boy Spud here and welcome to Enjoy Life Music, where we talk about everything music related in Japan and Korea and sometimes Asia in general. So this week I have another episode of Who the Hell Is, and we will be talking about Millennium Parade. So you probably remember in my past videos I talked about how a lot of musicians in the Japanese music industry has kind of been suffering from originality, and yes, I still hold on to that opinion. However, in the giant pile of poo that is generic music, occasionally you can find the golden poo, and that golden poo would be Millennium Parade. Let's take a look at Millennium Parade and figure out what makes them tick. So without further ado, let's dive on in. So let's get this out the way. Millennium Parade is very different from most bands, considering they aren't technically a band per se. They're actually a collaboration band, meaning there's a group of different singers and musicians and creative directors. So what does this mean exactly? Well, it just means basically every song sounds completely different. And because of this, you have a wide array of musical genres. You have your pop, your hip hop, your rap, your R&B, your EDM, your rock. No, but really, you have just about every genre being covered by Millennium Parade. And then that also makes it difficult to categorize what genre Millennium Parade falls under. And how many times am I going to say Millennium Parade? So how was Millennium Parade formed? Well, the concept of Millennium Parade came from Tsuneta Daiki, the leader of King Gnu. The purpose of creating Millennium Parade was to expand the minds of listeners. And in an interview from Japan Times, Tsuneta states that most of the top artists in Japan sound the same. I just want to share more variety. And honestly, this isn't surprising. If you've ever listened to his band King Gnu, you would instantly understand where he's coming from. King Gnu is probably one of the most distinctive sounding bands I've heard in a long time. So, Tsuneta went on a journey. Just like Batman looking for his Justice League, Tsuneta was looking for his musical Justice League. To give you an idea, here are some of the musical members that are part of Millennium Parade. Urmhoi, Ando Kohei, Ezaki Ayatake, Tsuneta Shuntaro, Arai Kazuki, Ishiwaka Shu, and Seki Yu. Just remember that I said musical members of Millennium Parade, since there is a large amount of talented designers and artists as well. But we'll get into that later. Naturally, with Millennium Parade, Tsuneta does have members from his own band collaborating with him. But as far as members outside of his band, some of the first members were Ezaki Ayatake from Wonku, and Urmhoi from Black Boboy. Now, since there are a lot of members in this collaboration group, I won't be able to talk about everyone, but I will briefly talk about some of the first joining members. First, let's talk about Ezaki Ayatake. He is part of a group called Wonku, which plays a variety of jazz, soul, hip-hop, and R&B styles. Ezaki plays piano, synthesizer, and organ. Next, we have Urmhoi, a very talented girl who is part of an electronic unit called Black Boboy. Now, even though they're called an electronic group, their style of music is very laid back, chill, smooth, sit back, grab a doobie, and just go cray. Actually, no, I don't know what I'm talking about, but the sound is very, very distinct. I guess the best way to describe their sound is just by listening to this music clip. See what I mean? Very un-Japanesey. Urmhoi also specializes in singing and songwriting. Probably should have mentioned that from the beginning. And then lastly, we have Ishiwaka Shun. Ishiwaka is actually a friend of Tsuneta Daiki back in the college days, and they used to be in a band together called Vinci. And if any of you guys are a fan of King Gnu, you would know that Vinci was the original name of King Gnu. So, by the transitive property, Ishiwaka used to be a former member of King Gnu. Math is so fun. As of now, he's no longer part of King Gnu, but despite his separation from the band, Ishiwaka and Tsuneta are still very good friends. I mean, they have to be considering he's part of Millennium Parade. And Ishiwaka's contribution toward the band would be drums and synth bass. Now, as I mentioned before, Tsuneta has included his King Gnu members in this collaboration band, so that would be Arai Kazuki and Seki Yu. However, there is one member in particular who isn't part of this collaboration, and that would be Iguchi Satoru. Honestly, I couldn't find out why this was the case, but I wouldn't worry about it too much considering they seem to be on good terms in their current band. And yes, while these are the main members of the group, they do have other outside people coming in and collaborating with them. For example, Friday Night Plans, who I love to death. So what makes Millennium Parade so special? Then again, I guess the question is, what isn't special about Millennium Parade? Let's start with the obvious, the sound. I guarantee you, if you sit down and listen to Japan's top 50 artists, you will not find any sound that is similar to Millennium Parade. Now, I can think of two unique artists out there, being Jobachi and Yoasobi, but even then, that's still a little different. With Jobachi, their group is unique due to Jobachi's singer. And then on the other side, you have Yoasobi, who is fairly unique as well, but when you really think about it and analyze their songs, it's just a variation on Vocaloid with a mixture of light pop music. But the thing with Millennium Parade is their musical structure is completely different from anything. It doesn't follow any of the basic rules to musical structure. Oh, okay, I take that back. But the way it's presented is baffling to the ear. Now, I won't go into all the music theory of their songs because that doesn't really benefit most people out there. Instead, I want to make comparisons to other musician styles so you can hear the uniqueness of this group. So let's take a look at one of their most popular songs, Fly With Me, which was used in, what was it? Ghost in the Shell, there we go. It was used in the Netflix series Ghost in the Shell, which was Anyway, the point is, I want you to listen to this song and just kind of absorb some of the chorus. Now, this song is grounded in hip-hop and rap, at least with the rapping aspect. But the way Millennium Parade uses their instrumentals really throws off the listener. For example, the drumming is kind of reminiscent of rock, at least some kind of variation on a rock beat. But this doesn't last long because once the chorus begins, it turns into, well, I'm not sure where they're drawing inspiration from, if I'm being honest. You hear a blast of synth instruments in the background along with a kind of whispering but not whispering chant. It's weird. And the thing that really throws off any listener of Japanese music is the fact that it's presented all in English. And that is a recurring theme through all of Millennium Parade's music. All of their songs are written in English, which is another thing that separates them from the Japanese music industry. And then while you're listening to this music, the way the minor chord progressions and diminutive sevens and just everything about it, it's not what you are used to hearing when you listen to basically any kind of music. Well, I mean, with the exception for King Gnu, but even then, King Gnu doesn't go as wild as Millennium Parade. So now let's take a look at something a little bit more mainstream. AK-69's Bussin? This is the issue with Japanese. Sometimes I don't know if I should read it like Japanese pronunciation or read it like English. I'm gonna go with bussin'. Anyway, within the first 20 seconds, you already realize what the song is. It's rap, it's hip hop. All the fundamental beats, no pun intended, are structured in this song. You know exactly what you're getting. And just by listening to this, you should now be able to understand what I mean by Millennium Parade's unique sound. At least I hope. So now, let's take a look at the creative process. Earlier I mentioned there were various members of Millennium Parade. Not just musicians, but designer and 3D artists as well. You have Sasaki Shu, Morikota, and Kanbe Yuhei. So let's start off with Sasaki Shu. Sasaki is the creative producer for Parametron, a music label initially started with Tsuneta Daiki. So yeah, I'm sure you're beginning to realize that Tsuneta has a lot of influence not only on the musical side of things, but the business side as well. Technically, that's still music. Well, he contributes a lot to music business. Next, we have Morikota. Morikota is a designer. Now, Mori's history is a little mysterious, but I did manage to find some info on the man. He specializes in makeup and body art and has worked freelance. He's done work for brands such as Adidas and Nike. It wasn't until last year he joined Parametron, adding to the list of things that the music label specializes in. And last but not least, we have Kanbe Yuhei. Kanbe does all the 3D CG work for the music videos. Kanbe's background is in education, but after graduating, he wanted to work in a more creative field. Because of this, he tried working at an advertisement company. Turns out the position wasn't as creative as he thought, and because of this, he decided to seek a more creative job. He ended up working at a video editing company and developed his Photoshop and video skills. It was later that Kanbe and one of the company's clients, Osrin, became good acquaintances. Since Osrin works with Parametron, this led to Kanbe's eventual inclusion in Millennium Parade. The first work he did with Parametron was King Gnu's Flash music video. And then in terms of work that he's contributed toward Millennium Parade, he's worked on Veal and Fly With Me. And since we're on the topic of music videos, let's take a look at some of the imagery for Millennium Parade's MVs. Most of MP's music videos work with 2D and 3D visual effects, and it can get trippy, almost to a psychedelic level. Personally, I think the best MV that shows a compelling story and great visuals would be Philip. Now I know this sounds cryptic, but the style makes the art look unfinished, but at the same time shows a lot of detail in the world. Now I won't spoil the story of Philip, since it is something you should experience for yourself, but the basis of the song is love, loss, and betrayal. And the ending hits really hard. Also, I left a link down below, so be sure to check that out if you're interested. So, what has Millennium Parade been up to recently? Well, earlier this year in February, they released their first album, showing off all their past releases and putting it in one nice package. Of course, there are new songs on the album, my favorite being Trepanation. Firstly, it features Friday Night Plans, who I love. I've been following her a lot in the recent years, and I really love her work. And secondly, it's a mixture of lo-fi beats, a little bit of R&B, a little bit of hip-hop. I'm not sure. It's got a little bit of that vibe to it. Once again, it's difficult to really pinpoint where Millennium Parade sits in terms of genre with their music. It's always ambiguous. And quite frankly, I appreciate that. I really appreciate Tsuneta's vision. I mean, when you think about it, we're always hung up on what genre we're listening to. What's this genre? I don't like this, I don't like this. But in this case, there is no genre set for this music. It's just you like it or you don't. Now, I will admit, not every song from Millennium Parade is going to blow you away. There are a lot of songs that I like by them, but there are some that are kind of meh. And what I mean by that is, sometimes I feel like they're so caught up in being unique that it actually becomes a crutch. Some songs have so many genres meshing together to the point it just becomes chaotic and confuses me. I don't understand where the song is going. But that's just one criticism. There's more good than bad for Millennium Parade, in my opinion. Regardless, Millennium Parade is gaining traction in the music industry. And not just in Japan, but globally as well. People are beginning to take notice to this band because it's different in every way. The sound, the music videos, just everything. Many musicians out there are chasing fame and they want to get famous, and many do. And when that happens, they kind of forget why they got into the music, to kind of, express themselves, perhaps push the music industry forward with a new sound, things that keep music kind of alive. Personally, I feel like we're just running on autopilot at this point, especially in the Japanese music industry. I can say America is kind of trying, kinda. And then, well, K-pop, unless you're listening to more underground music like me, then yeah, it's not really changing. Then again, I guess that's why it's called mainstream music. But then you can look at Millennium Parade and see, alright, it's reaching a mainstream audience and people are liking it. So regardless, it's time that we push for new blood in the music industry so things can flourish and we can hear this great unique sound. And Millennium Parade is one of the few bands that's actually paving that path. Alright everybody, so that is my video for Who the Hell is Millennium Parade. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Either way, just leave a comment down below and let's have a discussion. I guess the question is, well, it's actually very simple. What do you think of Millennium Parade, and what is your favorite song? What song do you dislike? And do you think Millennium Parade has a future in the mainstream music market? So, if you liked the video, be sure to obliterate that like button, and if you loved it, go ahead and click that subscribe button and also ring that bell to be notified for any upcoming videos that I post, because I do upload every week. And be sure to follow me on Twitter, because I do post there occasionally. And yeah. Also, I wanted to mention that I hit over 100 subscribers, I think about 2 weeks ago. So I know it's not that big of a deal, but for me, it is. And because of that, I want to say thank you, and I am trying to work on a giveaway. Hopefully, I can get a hold of a Need You CD as soon as possible, and when that happens, I'll be doing a little giveaway for that. Just, stay tuned for that kind of stuff as well. And as always, my friends, enjoy life, enjoy music, peace.